I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to tap into the unconscious mind consciously, to use this understanding of the conscious and the unconscious mind to consciously tap into the reality that you want. Like, you know how people talk about like everything happens for a reason? You can understand that actually for real and use that to your advantage to manifest exactly what you want. And I think that most people just don't actually understand this. I didn't understand this for the longest time. So I'm going to share with you in this video exactly how to do that. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell. Also, all the details to work with me are going to be down below. Now, what I want to share with you to start out this video is that in my personal opinion and in my experience, there's no such thing as the unconscious mind. That doesn't actually exist. Unconsciousness never existed. Unconsciousness is just this sort of dense like frequency that we create, where we forgot that we have creative power to manifest anything that we want. That's all it is. It's just a dense state, but it's still consciousness. It's still consciousness. And if you go really, really, really far in that direction, it becomes denser and denser and denser, and all sorts of issues arise in that space. For me, it was like health issues, financial issues, relationship issues, all these kind of things manifest. And then you're blaming people and judging people, and then you call that unconsciousness and ego. But one thing that you can realize is that this is just this sort of effect that happens where you go down this downward spiral of consciousness simply because you forgot how to direct your life force and direct your creative energies. You could even call it sexual energy. That's why it's important to protect your creative energy, your sexual energy, but we'll talk about that in another video. Because if you waste your sexual energy and project it in all these different directions that aren't in alignment with who you want to be, you're going to be hurting yourself and others. But if you know how to consciously use this energy in your life, you will realize that actually you can manifest anything that you want, and you'll realize that unconsciousness doesn't actually exist. There's only different states of consciousness which are more preferable and less preferable. And that's just been my experience. I don't believe in unconsciousness. So it's going to sound very debatable, and I know that sounds maybe like something you've never heard before, but actually the unconscious mind, I don't think that actually exists. It doesn't exist. Do you see any unconsciousness? I don't see unconsciousness. All I see is things that are in alignment with what I want. And if there's something that's out of alignment with what I want, I don't perceive of it in my reality. I don't see it. I don't perceive of anything that's out of alignment with who I want to be, because I'm just not focused on it. I'm just not seeing it because it's not part of my intention. And I'm consciously doing that. I'm doing that on purpose. I'm doing that deliberately. I'm a deliberate creator of my reality. And I'm not special. You can do this. We all have the same capacity. We have the same innate potential and capacity to manifest what we want. But a lot of us just simply aren't consciously doing it. And we're looking and we're seeking, we're on the spiritual chase. How do I figure out spirituality? There's nothing to figure out. I don't believe that spirituality is something you need to figure out or understand. If you keep seeking, you're going to manifest more seeking. Seeking is in of itself a manifestation. It's a state. It's a manifestation. If you're on the spiritual search to figure out spirituality, you're just manifesting you being a seeker trying to figure out spirituality, and that might feel very dense for you because it's perhaps out of alignment with what your heart wants. So the unconscious mind doesn't actually exist in my reality, and I don't think it exists in anybody's reality. I think that it's just we've convinced ourselves, a lot of people have convinced themselves that they have to be in some state that they don't actually prefer, and then they call that unconsciousness and ego, and this is bad, and I shouldn't be here, and then you blame people and judge people. See, blaming, what is blaming? Blaming people is you forgot how to manifest. That's it. Isn't that what blaming is? If you knew 100% that you were a conscious manifester of your reality, would you ever blame anybody? Would you ever judge anybody? Would you ever argue with anybody? Would you ever focus on something that doesn't resonate for you? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't waste your energy on that. You wouldn't waste your energy on anything that's out of alignment. Now, I'm not saying that situations may not happen where somebody is like coming into your space and trying to cause an argument and you shouldn't have boundaries. I'm not saying to not have boundaries. I'm not saying to not have protection over your space and to maybe push back in a healthy way. Like if somebody's stepping over your boundaries and making you feel unsafe, use your voice to feel safe. Do whatever you have to do. I would encourage you to always use your voice to feel safe and to feel connected to who you really are. All I'm saying is that it's important to have discernment in terms of what is completely out of alignment with who you want to be. If something is completely out of alignment with who you want to be, calling it unconsciousness and then blaming people and judging people, this is ego, this is bad, blah, 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 blah. Like, what a waste of time. What a waste of energy. How about you prioritize to see what you want to see and what is aligned with who you want to be, and to be that person. To be a little bit delusional, like I say in my videos. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you, and again, I know that what I said was a little bit controversial, and that some people might disagree with it, but that's just my opinion and that's my belief. If it doesn't resonate for you, feel free to click off the video and watch something else. But that's just my opinion. If it resonates for you, take it into your being in a way that does allow you to manifest more of what you want, because these videos are meant to be practical and meant to allow you to manifest the reality that you want, and meant to be helping you to create what you want. If it doesn't help you, if it doesn't serve you, drop it and go find something that does. Simple as that. Nothing else needed. Otherwise, why are you putting your attention on it? Why are you wasting your time? Now, the second thing that I want to share with you is to understand that there's no unconsciousness. There's no such thing as the unconscious mind, in my personal opinion and experience. There's only intention. There's only intentions, and then the manifestation of that intention. There's only you building something up in your being, affirming something, wanting to become something, charging up your body, resting your body, building up all the energy. You know, you're like, when you're sitting there affirming, what you're doing is you're literally reprogramming your subconscious mind. You're reprogramming the unconscious mind. But again, unconsciousness isn't even unconsciousness or subconscious. It's just a different reality. It's just a different state. But how the world plays out will be dependent on your intentions. This is why I'm writing a book called The Power of Choice, which explains that from a metaphysical point of view, and even physical, but you know, some people might argue with that, I might debate with that, so I'm not here to make any bold claims around about physical reality. I'm just saying that from a metaphysical point of view, everything is a choice. And of course that will affect your physical reality and how things unfold. So I'm not here to make any bold claims around that you make every single choice in your life in the physical reality. I'm not here to say that. But what I will say though, is that the choices that you make and the understanding that you have about the metaphysical reality that you are in, which is just the truth of the situation. Like, we're in a metaphysical reality. We're not just in a physical reality. We're in a metaphysical reality that affects the physical reality. And actually the metaphysical and the physical are intertwined. They're kind of like both extremely interconnected. They are one. You can't really separate the metaphysical from the physical. So what I've come to realize is that there's only intention and then the manifestations of that intention. So when you're sitting there affirming and setting intentions, and you want to go in a certain direction, what's happening is that everything that will unfold in your life will be completely corresponding to those intentions, and it's going to happen like this pretty much every single time. And I find that when we're very fragmented and we don't have our spiritual power, it seems like a new age story, but it's not. It's the actual reality. It's the actual truth. The actual truth of the situation is that whether we realize it or not, our intentions are impacting the way that the events unfold in our life. And especially when you start to assume that you already have it, that's when things get really interesting, because then you start to shapeshift into all these different realities where you already have what you want, and you kind of forgot that you already had it. You forgot that you already had what you wanted the entire time. So this perspective for me personally has helped me to understand that I don't need to be worried about unconsciousness and consciousness and good and bad. All frequencies will be experienced. Everything will be manifested that can possibly be manifested. And when you drop this concept, even of like spirituality, it's like, just forget about spirituality. Just remember that you're just like, what is a human being? I believe that what a human being actually is a natural manifester. Like, for me personally, I was on this spiritual chase for so many years, trying to figure out spirituality and seek. How do I find the answers? How do I figure this out? How do I manifest what I want? How do I get, I dropped it. And then I realized what spirituality is really about. Spirituality and life are not separate. Unconsciousness has never existed other than this state that exists where you're seeking, trying to figure out spirituality. That exists, but you can call that unconsciousness, or you can call it ego, call it whatever you want. It's a state that exists, and it's consciousness. It's a form of consciousness, is it not? You call it unconsciousness. You've called it unconsciousness, but is that not also a manifestation of an intention, whether we realize it or not? Think about it. Is not seeking and trying to figure out the answer and trying to get what we want and trying to find out what's right or wrong, what's good or bad, is that not in of itself a manifestation of intention, just out of alignment with what we want, whether we realize it or not? That feels very dense. But it's like, how do I figure this out? And then you go find it out. And that's, you're manifesting that. You're manifesting trying to find the answers. But if you drop that and you decide who you want to be from this moment and say that, you know what, I'm going to assume the wish fulfilled, like Neville Goddard teaches, if you want to use that teaching, you assume who you want to be, you go be that person, and you go find out who you want to be, and you do that instead. What happens is that you manifest that. And when you realize, when you go back and forth between these two kind of states of consciousness, which are both states of consciousness, you can call one unconsciousness, but it's still consciousness, right? What happens is that you realize that all of it is a choice. It's a choice. If I start thinking, God, how do I figure out this problem? How do I get this? That's a state of consciousness. That's a state of consciousness that exists. That's a state of consciousness. And what also exists is to believe that there's something called unconsciousness, where you get into this really negative, depressed, dead state where things are not fun, and you become more and more dense, and you feel like you're not really a person anymore. You feel like you're becoming nothing. You feel like you're dead on the inside. And I hate to say this, but when I was not consciously taking control of my reality, I hate to say this, and I'm not saying this to put fear in anybody, but I kind of felt like I was slowly going towards death. And that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not saying it to put fear into you. All I'm saying is that I wasn't really living my life. And I really felt like I was just going more and more and more towards this dense, slow, unconscious state. And it felt like, it's like the life force was being drained out of my body. I felt terrible. So when I dropped this spiritual chase and I dropped this idea that there is such a thing as unconsciousness, and that there's ego, and that some people are more conscious and some people are less conscious, I started to have better relationships. My money increased like crazy. I started to feel much, much better. My health got much, much better. All the health issues that I used to have vanished out of my life because it's just, I don't see them. They stopped becoming a part of my reality. And so I stopped creating them. And so what happened when I went through this whole journey of going back and forth, my life became much more epic. And I'm not special. I'm not saying this to boost myself or to be something that makes you feel bad or makes you feel jealous. Jealousy is ridiculously a waste of time. Anything that anybody anything that anybody has that you see in them, you can manifest it too. If somebody is saying to them, if you see somebody manifesting a certain amount of income, or they're even saying out loud like, oh, I manifest this always, you can take that. You can take that exact affirmation and embody that intention into yourself and then go be it. You can be whatever you want. There's no limitation. Anything that you see is something you can also manifest. So this is why jealousy is a waste of time. This is why complaining is a waste of time. This is why feeling lack is when you see somebody doing really, really good and then they're really successful, like their subscribers are going up or something, or they're making lots of money, and that makes you feel lack in any way. All that's showing you is that you forgot how to manifest your reality. If you believe that you were the 100% manifester of your reality, you would never feel lack when that happens. So jealousy really is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of your precious life force energy that you can be directing towards what you want, or just affirming and being the person that you want to be, assuming you already have it. Otherwise, like you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a waste of time and energy to feel any kind of lack or any kind of emotion that is not conducive to who you want to be or what you want to manifest. And this is also about detaching from good and bad, in my experience, because good and bad are both fleeting. But having the energy of having, that's something you can always have no matter what. Manifestations is never going to really make you happier. That's what people believe. But when you drop this idea that they are going to make you happier, and you realize that you're a divine creator, and you can manifest whatever you want at any time, then what you realize is that you're the creator of your reality. And unconsciousness never existed, and you can be whatever you want, you can have whatever you want, and there's no limitations other than limitations that you impose upon yourself. Even if that means you're blaming and judging and criticizing, that in and of itself is something that you're doing to yourself. And of course, you're hurting others in that process too. Because when you're jealous and you're judging and you're complaining, all that's happening there is that you're bringing yourself down and you're trying to bring others down with you. And that's just a waste of time. I'm not attacking anybody here, but it's just an observation for you to perhaps notice within yourself to say, you know what? I don't need to feel jealous. I don't need to feel lack. You don't need to feel any kind of negative emotion. You can be who you want to be. You can manifest whatever you want. Why? Simply because you said so, and that's it. There's nothing else that needs to be communicated. It is very simple, because anything more that I say contradicts what I believe. Because if I start going into that's it. Manifestation is your natural state. You can create whatever you want, period. That's it. There's nothing to seek, there's nothing to find, there's nothing to figure out. You're a manifester. You can do whatever you want. And naturally you will honor others, because actually uplifting yourself, becoming the person that you want to be, and being epic and being an epic manifester is the best thing you can do for any person. Because when you're leading by example, even if somebody sees you and becomes jealous, that's their response. You can't control their response. All you can do is manifest your reality, be epic, be the best person that you can be, and by example, show others that they can do the same. So anyways, I want to conclude this video with one final thing, which is let you know that nothing happens by accident is a truth that you can tap into consciously. You know, when people say like, oh, nothing happens by accident, everything happens for a reason. And it's like that kind of cliche thing that you hear in the spiritual communities, right? Or like in these kind of videos or whatever. It's like, look, that's an actual reality. It's not just some cliche thing that you hear that's like, oh my gosh, that's so motivating. No, it's reality. Literally nothing happens by accident. Literally everything happens for a reason. Literally, like, you can manifest whatever you want, and everything is in complete your control, and you can have and be or do whatever you want and assist others along the way. Bring yourself up and bring others along with you. And I conclude the video with that. Once again, all details to work with me are down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.